This is what we're going to be talking about today. Thank you all for coming. So this is the flyer that I made. Black Knowledge Matter, investigating the African origin of the so-called Egyptian language. And I included here this book by Fergus Sharman, Linguistic Ties Between Ancient Egypt and Bantu. And then I found this YouTube video where the sister was explaining that the Chi-Tonga language in Southern Africa and in the Great Lakes region shows us where the vowels go. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Thank you all again for coming, Brother Damani. I'm showing a PowerPoint, so be careful out there. Oh, you're at home. Oh, all right. Surprise! You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh yeah, I'm not working today, but I had to run out, so I'll be listening on. I'll be listening on mute. I mean on off camera.
Okay. All right. All right. Be careful. Glad to see Bill, Sebastian. So Sebastian, that show I did with Philippe was okay.
You guys have too much fun sharing all that great knowledge.
You know what? I looked at it right after I saw your note. I had 3,000.
Oh, yes, I was looking at that.
I had 3,000 views on there.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that was amazing. All right. Any questions before we begin? No? All right. Well, let me get started. A little apprehensive. Should I do it? Let's just talk about Juneteenth. It's safe. We'll just talk about that. All right. Okay. No, huh? Yeah.
No, come with the language.
Come with the language. All righty. All righty then. Here we go.
Don't be nervous.
Don't be nervous. All right. So this is our first slide. So the sister, her name, it's not her real name. I found out looking at the comments on her YouTube video, but she goes by Yin Yin Yinzi, in Yin Yin Yinzi. And I took screenshots from her videos. I also went to a web link, and this is one of the videos. I mean, this is one of the pictures I was able to say. So what I was saying earlier, Brother Keedy, is that when you look at the ancient language, it's just a bunch of consonants running together. And the Europeans fill in where the vowels are, and those are really placeholders. But in the Chi-Tonga language, when you put these placeholders with the vowels, this is the way it's pronounced. It's not pronounced Kemet in their language. It's Kumata. Ankh is Anji. Medu is Madui. Manui Tachali. Speech, voice of a time of bliss. And in their language, the L and the R are interchangeable. So in one region, people might use an R. Another region, people might use an L. And so she's written down here at the bottom, Batanga speak the Proto-Bantu language, which is the linguistic continuity of the Medui Nachali, which is the ancient Egyptian language. Just right there, it's astounding. But let's go on. Again, Medui Nachali. Let me just pause here. You know, I always run into people that, you know, they know how the language is spoken. You know, they present themselves, and I don't want to disparage anybody, but they chide you if you don't say netcher or netter. Or I ended up introducing a famous person in the Kemetic community, let's say, and I ended up saying their title wrong, and I went backstage, and the person chided me. You know, it's not this, it's that. You know, and they get really, and we're debating, we're discussing over things that the Europeans have placed in. Let me continue. So that's right there, can get you involved in an argument. Just putting this up. So I read a lot of different, I read from a lot of different sources. And I got this book one time. It's called Exiled Egyptians, The Heart of Africa. It's by this a researcher by the name of Mustafa Gadala. He's an Egyptian American. And in reviewing his book, one of the things that he points out, so the premise of his book is that the Egyptologists have not explored where the language really comes from. And if they would go on the outskirts of Egypt, people are still speaking the language, or something that is a lot closer than what they're proposing. And when you go to various parts of Africa, for instance, this picture here in the middle, this is Nigeria and Cameroon. And through Nigeria and Cameroon, there's a river there called the Benue River. So 2,300 miles away from the Nile Valley, there is a river called the Benue River. Why is that significant? Because Benue, the Benue bird, is the African origin of the phoenix bird. It's where the Greeks get the phoenix bird. It was a sacred bird at Anu. The Greeks called that place Heliopolis, and it appears to be connected with the verb weben, meaning to rise in brilliant or shine. Now we're going to come back. I want us to remember that weben. And no, that's not Ebonics, but we're going to come back to that word weben, because that's part of the Tichanga language, the Proto-Bantu language, where the vowels, where they fill in the vowels. So at the river basin in West Africa, where Niger-Congo people settled, it was called the Benue by the people. Benue is the ancient Kemetic Benben stone symbol of the mound of creation at Anu, the worship center of Ra. As such, the name given to the river by newcomers signifies a new beginning or birth. The choice of the name and the available information on these people points to Kemet as their original land of origin. And this picture here, I actually took myself. We were sailing along the Nile. I looked up and I said, oh, wow, there's a Bennu bird. So I took that picture myself. Now, this is what Europeans think of ancient Egypt and Nubia. This is Champollion, and look at what he's doing. He has his foot on a Per-Az head. But this is the person who discovered the Rosetta Stone. What is the Rosetta Stone? If you look closely, the Rosetta Stone, it was discovered in 1799 and has been displayed in the British Museum since 1802. The pyramids would be in the British Museum if they could carry them there. So what's the significance? So the significance is it has at the top hieroglyphics, then it has the cursive form of written language in Egypt called Demotic, and it has Greek. And it is from the combination of these is how it gave the first clues by which Young and Champollion, quote unquote, deciphered the Egyptian hieroglyphic script. This is from Exiled Egyptians. I just want to read a little bit. It says, the ancient Egyptian language falsification. With very little knowledge of ancient Egyptian language, linguists decided that ancient Egypt and its language would be the domain of their fellow academic Egyptologists. As a consequence, they left the subject of ancient Egyptian language alone. They followed up with their compartmental territorial thinking by stating emphatically that there is absolutely no relationship between ancient Egypt and sub-Saharan African languages. They ended the issue there with no room for discussion. The emphatic statement is indicative of a lack of substance. Academic Egyptologists claim that they have deciphered and understand the ancient Egyptian language, but do they? Deciphering the ancient language began with Champollion, 1822, but practically ended there. He made some assumptions to unlock the mysteries of the ancient Egyptian language. Later, Egyptologists carelessly made more and more assumptions. They kept piling assumptions on top of assumptions. They made up rules as they went along. The end result was chaos. One can easily see the struggle of academia to understand the ancient Egyptian language, which reached a dead end, as is reflected in an apparent deciphering of no more than 1,500 words that have contradictory and confusing meanings. Even if we accept academically deciphered ancient Egyptian terms and names, which is equivalent to about 1,500 English words and terms, this number is less than 1% of the vocabulary listed in an average English dictionary. Then he goes on and he talks about a Gardner. It is incredible that the leader of this farce, Alan Gardner, berates the ancient Egyptians for not being clear and for being vain instead of admitting his own shortcomings. And it goes on. He says, as part of the quick fix by Egyptologists, they declared that Coptic words basically corrupt ancient Egyptian words written in Greek alphabet would be used to estimate the sounds of the unwritten ancient Egyptian vowels. The Coptic words were, however, at variance with their deciphered Egyptian words, he puts quote unquote. In essence, their quick, fixed translation of the ancient Egyptian language is wrong, and or their premise of the Coptic language as ancient Egyptian written in Greek alphabet is wrong. And he goes on. You guys kind of get the idea. Then I found this, you know, as I was doing research on it, it says, we've been lied to about the origins of civilization. In the 19th century, 1800s, Greek scholars acknowledged that ancient Africa, not Greek, not Greece or Rome, was the true cradle of civilization. But by the 20th century, 1900s, that truth had been deliberately buried. So that man that we saw that had the had his foot on the Per-Oz head. So here, 3 European scholars who told the truth about African history. Jean-Francois Champollion, founder of Egyptology, stated clearly that Nubians were the closest descendants to the ancient Egyptians. But his work was never translated from French to English, concealing this reality. Henry Rawlinson, the father of Assyriology, said that the first inhabitants of the Middle East were Cushites, an ancient Egyptian civilization. But his work hasn't been reprinted since the 1800s. James Carolus Pritchard, anthropologist, concluded in 1813 that the human race was of Negro origin, hate that word, and that the ancient Egyptians were Black, and that he knew of no counter argument. But his book was ignored and the evidence he presented was obscured. And then many of you are familiar with Sir E.A. Wallace Budge. Wallace Budge was a prolific author, especially remembered for his work on Egypt religion and his hieroglyphic primers. Budge's work on ancient Egyptian religion was unique in that he claimed that the religion of Osiris, or Wasir, some of us say Asar, had emerged from an indigenous African people. He said of the Egyptian religions and in Osiris and the resurrection, there is no doubt that the beliefs examined herein are of indigenous origin, Nilotic or Sudani in the broadest signification of the word. And I have endeavored to explain those which cannot be elucidated in any other way by the evidence which is afforded by the religions of the modern people who live in the great rivers of East, West, and Central Africa. So people knew this back in the day. People knew this already, but they wanted to obscure it. Can anybody guess why? That's rhetorical. You know why. You know why. So here are these prominent scholars. They, even though they don't agree, they're sorry to find it out. They just had to say, okay, these are some Black people. You know, but you got all these modern scholars, they can't have it. You know, as you're oppressing people in South Africa, just listen to the song that Bob Marley sung. It's called War, which is a speech that the Emperor Haile Selassie gave to the United Nations, I think in 1968. You know, until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior has finally and permanently been discredited and abandoned, everywhere is war until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard to race. You know, until that day, the dream of lasting peace, world citizenship, and the rule of international morality will remain but a fleeting illusion to be pursued but never attained. So this is part of it. Okay, any questions? I'm going to pause. Any statements that you would like to make now? Because I haven't really gotten to the meat of what I'm going to talk. Go ahead. Go ahead, Zarita, and then Sebastian. Go ahead.
So Mood Amun Rahatep to everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Imhotep, for this fellowship. So as I was listening to you, you used the word consonants. And so I just want to get a point of clarification. Are you talking about the consonants, the transliteration of the language of the ancient ancestors?
Yes. So let me share this. So let me go back. So yes, when I say the consonants, let me go back to this, the very first slide here. So when I say the consonants, I'm in these. So this is a burnt charcoal, an owl, a loaf, and this grid representing a city or town, or in this case, a country. These have been transliterated to KMT. And in the languages that are still spoken today, when you add the vowels, it's kumata. What does it mean to them? Place or home of our fathers. Medu Necher is MDW. That's Medu and NTR, Netter. When you add the vowels, according to this language, it's Madui Nachali. Why would you use the L? Is because in this language, the R and the L are interchangeable. And actually, and we'll hear in the video, the people in Southern Africa, there's a certain place in Southern Africa, they use this Nachali in a song. You know, it's still being used today. And so their meaning is speech, voice of a time of bliss. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Brother Sebastian?
Earlier, you mentioned Alan Gardner.
Yes.
And that he was not of the three that told the truth as it related to the grammar.
Right. So he's not like at their time period. You know, so
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and I was sort of questioning that because the book that was used when Theophilo Obenga came to us, some almost 30 years ago.
It hasn't been that long, has it? It hasn't been that long.
Yeah, come September, it will be 30 years. My son was born that night.
Are you kidding? It's been that long?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. But wasn't that the book that, not to say that there was anything wrong with that book, but he did the reference
Oh,
from,
yeah, you know, everybody does,
from,
and that's why it was
okay,
used in that
what was it?
in that description. You know, he's saying that Gardner isn't right either. That's what Gondola is articulating.
Yeah, this book, there it is.
I can't see the title.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's Gardner's book.
that's the Gardner book,
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
Okay, I got you.
And
Just for
and
clarification, I wouldn't know that.
and everybody uses that. So actually, the sister is going to use that. She's going to refer to Gardner N14, and I can't remember if that was no. It's for you know how we say Saba, SBA. She says the way that they pronounce it is Zumba. And she refers to it. I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it, but she refers to it as Gardner A14. Very, very good question. Thank you. Yeah. And you know what? You can get the Gardner book. You can get a PDF version of the Gardner book. You know, and you know, back then, okay, in the 90s, that's what we were doing. Yeah. All right. Does somebody else have a question? Did I see a hand? All right. I'm gonna go. Keep going. Thank you for keep your questions coming. Oh, let me back up. Little anecdotal story. I used to be a glorified computer operator for the county of Sacramento. I installed all the computers, you know, for the health department, and I also ran the main computer, and it was a System 38. And one day, the system broke down, the computer broke down, and that meant primary care, case management, all the clinics, you know, all were down, and so we were all in a panic. So we had to call IBM, and back then IBM they were the man. You know, they knew everything there was. You know, they didn't dress like techies dress now. You know, they all had white shirts, ties, and there was this guy. His name was Bob. One of my friends referred to him as Preacher Bob. Bob came in, and we had there was a manual on the main computer, and it was like this big. You know, I'm not exaggerating that the manual let me turn this off. No, I didn't mean to do that. Really, if I do this, that's how big the manual was. And so Bob came in and started looking at that manual. And I said, Bob, you have to look at the manual. And he looked at me and he said, Emo, we're all in varying degrees of ignorance. And I held on to that. So we are all in varying, I'm not claiming to know it all. Yes, let's see. Yes, a manual kept on a table in a metal. Yes, that's right. That's right. And I held on to that because we are all in varying degrees of ignorance. Ptah-hotep says that the limits of knowledge have never been set, nor has anybody reached them. So I'm just passionately presenting what I feel about this subject. You know, I usually keep it to myself. I just listen to people, and you know, I let them go on. Let me go on, and you can determine. You can weigh out what it means to you and to our community. So let me let's see. Let me go back to where I was. I hope I answered your question, Sister Zarita.
Yes, you did.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, I think we left off here with Budge. You know, so Budge knew it, and look what he said. He said, he said, I have endeavored to explain to those which cannot be elucidated in any other way by the evidence which is afforded by the religions of the modern peoples who live on the great rivers of East, West, and Central Africa. Now, if we examine the religions of modern African peoples, we find that the beliefs underlining them are almost identical with those of ancient ones described above. As they are not derived from the Egyptians, it follows that they are the natural product of the religious mind of the native peoples of certain parts of Africa, which is all the same in all periods. But people, you know, people argue with him and they say, no, this knowledge came from invading Caucasian dynastic race. So he was even at odds with his peers. All right. So now Sheikh Anta Diop addressed this language issue in his great work, African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. I came into contact with it in 1976. I'm not sure when it was written, but close to that time. And here in his, it's in the section called The Peopling of Africa. He compares Egypt and Senegalese language. He compares Egypt with Zimbabwe language. He connects it with Yoruba language, Egyptian origin of Yoruba, and he's quoting the book, The Religion of the Yorubas, connection with ancient Egypt. So this is not anything new. Similarity, identity of language, similarity, identity of religious beliefs. He did all that. And then now I went through this. I found this while we were studying with Dr. Obenga. And this is from a website, and it's called the Kiswahili Bantu Research Unit for the Ancient Egyptian Language. The Kiswahili Bantu Research Unit for the Ancient Egyptian Language. And this is when you click on that link, this is where you go. Welcome to the to the Egyptology Africa Unit for the Reconstruction of Ancient Egyptian Language. So he has all the Bantu, Rosetta Stones, part A, B, and it goes on. He has a different pronunciation for Hotep and Neter based upon Kiswahili, which the root of it is Bantu. There's some Arabic words in it, but the root of it is Bantu. And so he explains that. So I was reading this simultaneously with what Dr. Obenga was saying, and I asked him about it, and he had issue with it, and he was asking, how are they doing it? What are the rules? etc. And then I would ask him about this, I would ask him about that. And then finally he said, you know, after I had pestered him like a little kid, he said, okay. He said, you can take just about any African language on the continent and connect it back to the ancient Egyptian language. That's what he said. You know, and we're talking about somebody with impeccable credentials, you know, on this subject. Went to UNESCO with Dr. Jope and turned it out because they had a truckload of books. And as Van Sertima puts it, they couldn't, those European scholars couldn't repeat their usual cliches. And they had to accept the African origin of the ancient Egyptian people, the ancient Egyptian civilization. And just think about this, sisters and brothers. We're using a word, Egypt, that the people that were living at the time never used. If you would have said Egypt, or the Greeks were trying to say hoi Egyptoi or Egyptos, they wouldn't have known what you were talking about. The Greeks were trying to say Heku Ptah, and their tongue, it came out hoi Egyptoi. All right. I see a couple of things in the chat. Let me stop. I wanna look at them. Yeah, we are. We are. Yeah. I hate when people try to call me while I'm. You know what? I should put this on airplane mode. Let me do that now. Sorry about that. You know, when I'm on Philippe's show, I put it on airplane mode. I didn't think to do that. All right. I shouldn't get any calls. Okay, let me keep going. I've probably bored you all enough with that.
Before you leave that page, could you repeat that that Kiswahili site that you were speaking of?
Yes, it's called the Kiswahili Bantu Research Unit for the Ancient Egyptian Language. The Kiswahili Bantu Research Unit for the Ancient Egyptian Language. Kiswahili Bantu Research Unit for the Ancient Egyptian Language. That's the website. And then after that, a few years later, actually a number of years later, the author of that website wrote this book. It's called Linguistic Ties Between Ancient Egyptian and Bantu, Uncovering the Symbiotic Affinities and Relationship in Vocabulary. This book provides a unique perspective on the linguistic relationship between the ancient Egyptian and Bantu languages of East, Central, Southern Africa. It will be of interest to readers of Egyptology, linguists, students, and the wider public who wish to find out more about the structure of the ancient Egyptian language and how it connects with other languages, particularly with Bantu languages. And so I found out by researching this subject that the sister who did the website, she was inspired by reading this book, and at first she kind of passed it off. Oh, Sebastian, you see this here about the author? Here it has it. He is the founder of the Kiswahili Bantu Research unit for the advancement of ancient Egyptian language. So now, this is the sister in Yenzi, in Yenzi. But that's not her real name. It's actually a pet name. But these are the videos. And the one that I went to first was, what did ancient Egyptian really sound like? What did ancient Egyptian really sound like? Guys want to stop there and go look at that video? It's like about 6 minutes. Want to check it out? Over. All right. Let's look at this. I think I have it. All right, here we go. Everybody see that?
Fortunately, we do have evidence of what ancient Egyptian sounded like before it became Coptic. Coptic developed during the 1st century AD and became a substratum of Greek. This means it adopted a lot of Greek influences, and a person speaking ancient Egyptian would not have understood Coptic. We know this because the ancient Egyptian language is the Proto-Bantu language and the source of all Bantu languages in southern Africa, where it has been spoken since 200 BCE or earlier. It is also the same language spoken by the Great Lakes Proto-Bantu. That means a lot of people speak it. The language is still spoken as Plateau Tonga in southern Africa by the Banabajundu or Batonga, as they have come to be known, who are the earliest known Bantu settlers in southern Africa, with a presence going back to 200 BCE. And that's when we don't consider the Phoenician story, which was not only told by Herodotus, but also by the Haga, who are southern African priests. This is the language that ancient Egyptians actually spoke and wrote for over 2,000 years. They called it Majwi Nejali. Majwi is a synonym for speech or voice. Nejali is a synonym for a nostalgic time of bliss. We still have a song that we sing at happy occasions that has the word Nejali in it over and over again. Here are a few expressions in Plateau Tonga which, when the vowels are removed, match the vowelless ancient Egyptian consonant sequences. Palo. This is a synonym for home or place where I rest. Raya. This is a synonym for other. Sishi. This is a synonym for one who knows, an intellect. Agati. This is a synonym for middle or horizon. Wabona.
Okay, I said we were going to get to that. And this is how you say it. So usually when you see this in the glyphs, and then the transliteration is WBN. This is the W, or sometimes this is a U, this is a B, this is an N, and it's representing this sun. It means to shine. But here in their language, this is how they say it. Wabona. All right, sorry to stop it.
This is a synonym, which means to see or to be revealed. Pati. This is a synonym for the sky or the expanse, or something of great height or magnitude. This language is not Afro-Asiatic, Kushite, or Arabic. It wasn't learned from the Phoenicians, Arabs, Portuguese, French, Dutch, Spanish, Scots, or English. It has always been ours, at least since the Guardians ascended to the stars. We have those stories too. We call the jackal-headed guardian is not a god, but a guardian, Simwava. Thoth is actually the female guardian, Mugamambo. The water snake or guardian's name changes. according to the region. So how did we get here? Well, starting in approximately 900 BC, the kingdom was first invaded by the Zanj Arabs. Next came the Shona invasion, which sliced a wedge into the kingdom, then the Portuguese, then finally the destruction by the Matabele, with Robert Moffat's help. I don't think any of them ever found the gold. That's because the gold is at Inyanga. Well, the way gate to the gold mines is supposedly at Inyanga. We can't open it anymore, so we can't help you there. Mythology aside, the language makes little use of conjunctions or joining words. These are inferred based on the synonyms used. This is a sentence taken from the funeral wishes from the Theban noble's tomb. The original translation assumed permission was being given to enter. Emuli palo sishi, emuna mahata, mahwa koli, wahwa gaga, which is correctly translated to, within the house of the great teacher Emuna Mahata, death is here, but it is denied. The Great Lakes had or still have their own source, which is or was the same as the Plateau Tonga source, which is why we can understand them, even if conventional history says we've never met. This group consisted of the Hima-related groups, and in southern Africa, there are the Suria and the Ila or Musahima, whose languages we understand. Along with the Lenje and the Vatunga, the Ila are also considered as part of the Bantu Watatwe. Bantu Watatwe means one of three. This simply means that we are from the same place. In southern Africa, we use the L sound, which is our dominant sound. Others in the Great Lakes use R. L and R are interchangeable, which is why a lot of people who speak our language have a hard time discerning the two. The ancient Egyptians have been present in southern Africa and the Great Lakes region, and the linguistic continuity is proof of this. They were cattle herders, rainmakers, and preyed on mountains. They also practiced muya or muhwa or mukwa. Mukwa are the principles we abide by, which state that we have to be a perfect reflection of the God, which is why we are called Vana. Vana means children, but strictly speaking, it means the perfect reflection of the gods who ascended to the heavens. This means, according to Muha or Moya, which is easier for most people to say, we cannot unalive anybody. This is the most important aspect of Moya. The ancient Egyptians have been present in southern Africa. They have also been present in the Great Lakes region, and we are still here. Well, what's left of us. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to show your support for this channel, you can give to our coffee. The link is in the description box below. Please like.
So that's what that was my initial exposure to it. What do you all think?
So, for her group, they filled it in that way, but they still started from the base of the Medu Neter. So other groups could start from that same base and have their own vowel system that they use.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
in explaining.
Very, very good point. Yes. Tony, you were going to say something? It looked like you were. No. Okay. All right. Well,
Like that.
all right. It's like you guys went dark on us. All right.
Another question I have, Imo, is that when you have the Medu Neter and when you were showing the oh my goodness, it was the animal symbol. I can't remember, you called it at the beginning of one of her words that she had there.
The owl, the owl.
Yeah, the owl.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I recall the way Obenga spoke to us, he mentioned that you had to know nature and what those animals did to really comprehend what was being said as they were used. Because the other thing would be if they turned that owl around, it might be a different time of the year and a totally different meaning that symbol gives to that sentence now.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, that symbol is very important because it's the second glyph in my name, and it means within. So if you look at it in Kiswahili, and according to this sister, it means that same thing, and in Medu Neter, it all means within. So the flowering reed and the owl means within. So when I'm saying MO or you're saying MO, it's like, see, you all don't know that, but for me, it's a reinforcement about going within. We're going to get to that point that you raised, Sebastian. That we're going to. That's very, very good point to bring up. All right. I'm going to continue, but then I'm going to show you the opening part of the second video that explains the language a little bit more. The entire video is 15 minutes. I'm only going to show like the first couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes of it. But here you go. I'm not going to show that yet. Get there and go back to this. So yeah, these are the videos that she has. These two are really good. And then she explains what is Bantu, and she goes into who really built Great Zimbabwe. I haven't listened to that yet. I plan to listen to these two. The Bantu migration never happened, and who really built Great Zimbabwe. So when you look at her YouTube channel, she's got 1,000, 1.27 K subscribers. She's got 8 videos. It's got 49,000 views. Started in 2011. Again, Madui Nachali. So, I just took screenshots of her videos. So here she, you see the numbers listed there, and then she compares them to the ancient Egyptians without vowels English transliteration. That's the transliteration that Sister Zarita was referring to. And then the Bantu Tonga vowels transliteration. So this S is Sa, this Kepper is Kapula, a Kapu, a Kapu, a Para. The L is LU, the N is just an N, T is the TU, etc. So what the expression is saying, what this is saying, according to them, is person who looks like our people. endeared this one. And here's a person who looks like our people. And this is a person who looks like our people. All right. So again, I just screenshot these. So per, we know, means like house. This is when they per, and again, the R and the L are interchangeable. So in the Great Lakes region, they would be using an R. And then there's an L, but in their language, because Southern Africa, they use the L as Palo. And then this Wabona. And we've seen this. If you look at the Medu Neter, you've seen the WBN. And it's usually pronounced we been. But according to their language, Wabona. Akati. And this the sky, Hati. And then she takes this saying and she transliterates it according to her language. And this is what it says: within the house of the great teacher, Imuna Mahata, death is here, but is denied. Okay, and here's some other phrases that she breaks down. So, okay, we talked about the Madui. So so this is it, you know, in ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet language, means voice or speech. In the Bantu Tonga, Madui, that's how they would say it. And this is how it is removed with the vowels. Yeah, when you remove the vowels. So this is something that people, you know, HTP, people will argue you down. You know, should I use O, Hotep? Should I use E, Hetep? Really, it's just HTP, foremost generous giver. Bantu, it's Hatupa. Hatupa. Jed is the Jadi. Geb is Cabo. And it goes on. And then again, the WBN, to rise, to be seen, to be revealed. Wabona. And then, okay, in the video that I'm going to show, so it's in two parts. She breaks down a couple of columns from this judgment scene. And she takes it like one by one. She'll do the first line and she'll circle it and she'll draw a line to it. I didn't put all that in, but when she gets through, it means sun, bright star, stability of our keepers, paramount of brightness, one who is of those revealed to the children, the earliest on the horizon, which is surely your home. And then here's some more. So Nefer, Nafuli, Hotep again, Hatupa, so there's a lot of similar. See, here's that M again, means in or within in ancient Egypt. You know, that's what they're saying. So again, I know I've said this a lot in this discussion, but WBN means to rise or shine in ancient Egypt. Wabona means to be seen, to rise in Chitonga. So you know, that's referring to the sun. Also, these words, so scribe, sishi, or jihi, meaning expert or one who is knowledgeable. So in Gardener, this is usually pronounced pet, or sky or heaven. Pati in Chitonga means great expanse or sky. And here it is, Weben, again, Gardener, page 37, Wabona, to be seen or revealed.
Mm-hmm.
And then these are just some things I saved. Linguistics shows the Watusi are the descendants of the lost kingdom of Pawantu. They, you know, people usually say Punt, but the way that they say it is Pawantu. And the Batonga, Ba, I can't pronounce it all, are the descendants of the population that left the South with the last native pharaoh in ancient Egypt in 3432 BC. All right, here's that one I was talking about, which is, so we usually say Seba for teacher, and here she puts the reference, Gardener, number N14. In their language, it's Zuba. Jed, Tajade means stable, etc. And so a mother, Mut, Gardener 37, the way they say it is Muwati. It refers to a married woman, Muwati. Her, again, Halo. A word for home, a place to rest, a place to sleep. And these consonants R and L are interchangeable. So this is how she breaks it down. She takes the column and she'll circle where she's talking about, and this is how they would say it. Let us become like the ideal manifestation of Bala. Beneficent spiritual guardians are guardians in the stars, namely of Paramount. Sun, star, stability of our keepers, paramount of brightness, one who is of those revealed to the children, the earliest on the horizon, which is surely your home. What do we say? What is the song that Minister Makalisi wrote? I mean, I know he's written a lot of them, but one of his songs is We Are Children of the Sun. I put this in because we're getting to a part that Brother Sebastian asked about, and this is from Ivan van Sertima, and Sebastian, would you read it for us? Ivan van Sertima.
Right at the top there, right?
Yeah.
Crawford shows us in his essay racial identity of the Egyptian populations based on analysis of physical remains, that the placing of the African into the facile, I guess that's the pronunciation of that, single type classification to determine the race of the Nile Valley inhabitants has led to the grossest falsification imaginable. No single myth in this whole field of study has done more damage than the monotypic classification of the African or Africoid.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Native African populations are phenotypically polytypic. That is, there exists in Africa a variety of phenotypes, faces, and or body shapes that may differ from the stereotypical Negro, falsely formed and firmly fixed within the rigid imagination and classification of Eurocentric observers. Crawford outlined 6 of these variants or types. I shall, lest they be lost to students, highlight the main features of these types. There is the elongated variant, to which General Adid, who fought our troops to a standoff in Somalia, belongs. This variant is distinguished by an elongated body build, narrow head, face and nose, dark skin and spiral hair, thick but not everted lips. They range from long to moderately long-headed, with a narrow nasal opening, long, narrow face, and mild to absent prognatism.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That is, with either slightly protruding or non-protruding upper jaw, lower face. This stands in contrast to the classical Negro type, but are indigenous, unmixed Africans. They are living in Africa long before Egypt was born. The elongated type includes the Fulani, the Tutsi, and the Hema, Rwanda, the Maasai, Kenya, the Gala, Ethiopia, Somalis, Somalia, and Beja, Northern Sudan.
Okay, I want to go back to this. General, you remember when they were having the fight in Somalia? It was General Adid. Remember they were General Adid. So that's most people won't remember that.
Adid.
Yeah, General Adid. So here, this is getting to your point. So now this is the glyph that they use for the face. And the glyph that they use for the face matches the people in Southern Africa. And I included this picture on the right because they include their writing here, and it goes back 60,000 years. This is on a ostrich shell. So notice the features. These features match Southern Africa, which is where their sister's from. And when Obama went in to the pyramids, he found himself.
That's actually on a YouTube.
Yes.
You have that YouTube, yes.
Yeah, yes. And he said, that looks like me. So now, when we talk about Kemet, Egypt, Kumata, they talk about the nomes, and they're referred to as provinces. I meant to put province, not providence, sorry. But these aren't just provinces. These are tribes. And Dr. Clyde Winters refers to them as Sepot. And here I included this picture, and this is the 42 tribes corresponding to the 42 declarations of innocence, because each place had a declaration of innocence. So here we can look at them closer. So Memphis, Menefer, here is Heliopolis, this is Anu. etc. And then Upper Kemet, here's Waset or Wose. The Greeks called Thebes. So these weren't different, just different nomes, provinces, but they are really different tribes. And that's why, this is my speculation now, that's why the people look, they're Africoid people, but they're very types of people. So the people today, so these are the Nguni in Southern Africa with these collars, and here are these sisters in the 18th dynasty. Here's Nelson Mandela, because Nelson Mandela was a royal. He's wearing a collar that a Purah is wearing. Purah Ramesu or Ramses. This isn't a crown. Well, I guess it is a crown, but this is his hair. And this is what the Watusi, how they wear their hair today. This X, this strap is worn by the Zulu and the Tutsi. They go, and here we see in ancient Kemet, Egypt, Kamatu, along the Nile, along the Happy, they're still wearing it. And this sister is wearing the same headdress as Queen Nefertiti. Ancient and modern. Here's a Kenyan nobleman, side profile, looking like the Purah Khafre. And here's another example. Somebody, a Kenyan, you know, and sometimes people put that red ochre on their skin. They were doing it in the ancient times, and they still do it now. People in Southern Africa, some places have a yellowish brown hue. And, you know, when you see that in ancient Kemet, the Europeans explain that these must be Caucasian people. But as Brother Sebastian has read, we have so many varying types of people, but we're all African people. Here's these sisters, ancient and modern. Modern here on the top, ancient on the bottom. And here's ancient and modern in varying ways this picture captures.
And Brother Imho, it's interesting looking at this because you say ancient, modern, and today we have varying hairstyles of all the different tribes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, other groups, our Europeans, they stick with the same hairstyle, and our sisters are changing their hair every month.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, in different styles.
This one in the center is the one that Job used, because it's Ramesu and it's Watusi. I don't have the one with the waves for the babes. There's one with the waves for the babes. I don't have it pictured here, but many of you may have seen it already. All right, I wrote to the sister. I wrote to her, I said, I belong to a Kemetic church whose theology is based on Ma'at. The name of our church is Wose Community. We'd love for you to be a guest on our Black Knowledge Matters Zoom meeting. Please write me, imhotep@gmail.com. I bought her some coffee. You know, she asked for a donation of $5, so I did that. And that is actually I want to close with this video that she has, and then we can get some questions. Right, so here we go. I'm just gonna open it up for a few minutes because I like what she's saying.
In this video series, we will translate the first column of Hua Noli's papyrus to understand how the ancient Egyptians sounded when they spoke their language. But before we start, here are a few things to remember about the ancient Egyptian language. It was written without vowels, and the vowels remain unknown, at least officially. This means the current vowels aren't the correct vowels. They aren't a reflection of how the ancient Egyptians would have pronounced any of the words. They are simply placeholder vowels made up and used by Egyptologists to help them have a way to pronounce the words and expressions. This means the words or expressions such as Akhenaten, Tutankhamun, Nefertiti, Hatshepsut, Osiris, Isis, Seti, Hotep, and all the other words we know as ancient Egyptian are made-up words. In addition, their language was also misclassified as a dead Afro-Asiatic language, which it isn't. It is a Proto-Bantu language which is still spoken in Southern Africa by their descendants who are the earliest Bantu people in Southern Africa. This is covered in my other videos, Who Really Built Great Zimbabwe, and the Bantu migration never happened, it was a Zanj invasion. So if you want more on that, you can watch those. But back to the language. When compared to any Bantu-derived languages, we find many similar words in.
Okay, there was something else. I hope that I can. So the comments, let's see. Can I get to the comments? So here are the comments. You know, this is somebody that's Kenya Rwandan for the sun. You know, she's agreeing with her. You know, people are thanking her. This is fantastic. Great comment. Great content, rather. Much appreciated. Amazing. In Yenzi is a star. And then this was her reply. Oh, no, that wasn't her reply. Sorry. Let me cancel that. And so, you know, they're addressing her. So anyway, I'm really pursuing that. It's a correct path for me.
This video, we will.
Oh, thank you. I just saw what you did, Sebastian. Thanks. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. We got about 4 minutes. If you guys want to go over to discuss anything, I'm open to do that.
I want to make a comment. It's indirectly related, but often I ponder about, you know, the way we text and the way we cut up words, and you can't hardly, you know, I'm still learning this stuff, but I've often pondered, I wonder what would happen if, like, millions, billions of years from now, somebody found a cell phone with all this stuff in it, and they think, oh, that's the way we talked.
Right.
Yeah, that's, you know, I think about that sometimes. That's all.
No, that's very true. They would probably think we're crazy. You know, just
And it would probably take textologists from our time right now
explain it. Yeah.
to go in and really fill in. The youngsters that are using that language, you know, will be 90 years old and would then have to go back and says, this is what this was saying.
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Yep. So I don't know what you
So,
got. Go ahead.
hey,
Go
real
ahead.
fast, a transliteration, that means, what's the definition of transliteration?
So transliteration is when you take the glyphs and then you put like, okay, like a K for the burnt charcoal, or an owl for the M. I mean an M for the owl, and a T for the loaf. That KMT is a transliteration.
All right.
For the Medu Neter.
For the Meta Neter.
Right.
Those YouTube videos of that sister, just what did I put in if I want to look at some of those YouTube videos? Bantu language.
Can you can you um can you get into the chat, or Damani, I can text you a URL for that. I thought I could.
Okay.
I'll do that when we get off. I'll text that to you.
It seems as though as you identify those as being nomes, provinces, tribes,
Mm-hmm.
that that transliteration can be different or slightly changed as you work your way down from one region of Africa to the next. It seems like,
and I think that's why they only used vowels. Because okay, over here they don't say it this way, and just maybe for the uniform. I'm just speculating on that, but maybe just for the uniformity.
and it's something because when later on, when we begin to take on French over there, because there's a lot of African people that I come across that they speak multiple languages, but French always seems to be something that is common.
Yeah.
I mean, they have their own dialect, or dialects rather. They have their own dialect, and then French is because a lot of stuff over there was written in French. I mean, you mentioned it in this right here that some of the three that were telling the truth, they never, went and took their French version and over to English, so we never knew.
I'm sending you all. The reason why I'm pausing, I'm sending you all. Willie, I don't have your, Willie and Herman, I don't have your email. If you want a copy of this PowerPoint, I'm putting it in a PDF form if you'd like to have it. So if you put your email in the chat, then I will be able to send it to you if you want it.
If not, I'm going to send it to them also.
Okay, Herman just put his in. Hold on just a second. Let's see, let me get it. All right.
And there's Willie's.
Okay. Copy. So many screens. Let's see. Okay, there's Herman. Hold on, Willie. I'll get you in there. Where'd you go? Willie.
While you're doing that, it just came to my mind when our dear Omitola went to Africa, and she was talking about how where she was, they were speaking Swahili different than what we were learning out
See?
here.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
with that very same thought, I could see if they were, it could even have been, having the same language, but in different places, they may be saying words differently or having a slight variation, or, over here we use it's like using the word Hetep. Like, I think we had kind of gotten comfortable with people saying Hotep or Hetep, and we were like, okay, either one of those is acceptable. And now it's like, oh no, neither one of those is. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting how language morphs itself, and in different places, people pick it up and say things differently. So we just, ask for the blessings of the Most High and the understanding of the ancestors when we're trying to decipher these things.
Well, you know what I've always heard is that people that are like from Tanzania, their Kiswahili is more proper, and Kenya, it's more like, if I could use the term, slang. They use more slang. They don't say abaragani. Like I used to work with this guy. His name was Joseph Songoy, and he wouldn't say, when you get around the fellas, they wouldn't say abaragani. They would just say abari.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that people on that end, maybe Petey can verify this because he's had some experience with people from that region. In Tanzania, it's more proper than their Kiswahili is more proper than Kenya. I'm not sure about Uganda, but I know in those cases they are.
Well, I would say if my Swahili were much, much better, I could be a better judge on that. But through the travel experiences that I've had, and I've been to that region, and I think 5 times or so, that there is quite a variety. Even within Kenya, which is my preferred country for future residents, even within Kenya, because you have so many distinct ethnic community groups, tribal groups, the Kikuyu, the Kamba, the Maasai, there are, I think, some 39 different groups. So there's going to be variation to variation. When I was in Uganda, I was briefly engaged to a journalist there, and her people, I'm trying to remember the name of her group, but they were Nilotic, and they had evolved over the course of millennia from the Nile River migrating south. So they definitely traced their roots to Nilotic. But when you went with their group as they traveled through Sudan, South Sudan, Uganda, moving into Kenya, and further south into Tanzania, as you moved another 1,000 kilometers or so, the nature of the group shifted.
Yeah.
So I think the idea of a notion of a singularistic, homogeneous, unifying language is going to probably not come in the very near future, even though we do now see 26 African nations have incorporated Swahili studies for students in their earlier class years. So Swahili is emerging as the Pan-African Union governing language. There are 4 other Pan-African Union governing languages that are used, including English, Portuguese, French, and a couple of others. Swahili is one of them now. So I think it's just for us, it's best to get in where we fit in. I love what Wose does, is that Wose sees the practical value of unifying us with a singularity of purpose, a singularity of community, and giving us these tasks, these challenges. And I salute what you did this evening. I thought it was a fascinating study and most certainly made me want to know more about this. I have been studying Kiswahili. I've got a long, long way to go. But I tell you, by the time I get to Kenya, my Kikuyu friends and my Kamba friends and Bakonga friends or Bakando friends are all going to want me to study the languages as well. So we got a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I have I'm looking for it now. I have our belief statement in Kiswahili.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, let's see if I could play it.
Oh, okay.
Woolsey Community.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to play it. This is our belief statement. That's not it. I can't do it. It disappeared, but I had our belief statement up just for a split second. Anyway, should have been more prepared, and I don't have it. But
Everything could I do look like
actually, let's see. So, okay, I did that. Let me try it again. So share. Yeah, can you guys hear that?
What we believe and what we practice. Jamii ya Woolsey, yale tunayoamini na kutenda. Woolsey community is a community of the way. The way is mad, truth, justice and righteousness. Jamii ya Woolsey ni jamii yenye njia, na njia zetu ni mad, njia za kweli zinazozingatia haki na zenye uadilifu. We believe in the teachings of our elders and ancestors that the Creator God, created the universe and all life and placed inside each of us part of the divine spirit. Tunaamini mafundisho ya wazee na wahenga waliponena kuwa Mungu muumba ndiye aliyeumba ulimwengu na vitu vyote vilivyo na uhai, kisha akaweka ndani ya kila mmoja wetu kipande cha Roho Mtakatifu.
I don't know if you guys could hear that.
Yes, we can hear it.
Yep. So I'm slowly trying to get that down. One day I'll be able to. But yeah, I have it written down too. Okay, it's 6:40. I want to thank you all for joining us this evening.
I just want to say, Minister, that the words of Chancellor Williams come to me where it says, truly will test the genius of the race. And I just believe that this fellowship, you puts us on the right track, full steam ahead. Ashe.
Ashe. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for those encouraging words. Tomorrow, if you'd like to join us for study of sacred scriptures, we'll be looking at a scripture. Let me see if I can find it really fast. It's coming from the Upanishads. And anyway, it'll be good. All right, so come check us out tomorrow at 6 o'clock on this YouTube channel, Black Knowledge Matters. But we'll be studying study of sacred scriptures. All right. Thank you, Herman. Thank you for joining us today. Just never know how these things are going to be taken. I don't have any of the real critics, so you know that's when you know. You know what? Whenever I would go see Dr. Van Sertima, Dr. Van Sertima was kind of like an imposing figure. He was about like 6'4". Looked like maybe he lift weights. And you know, when you'd ask him a question, he looked like he'd be ready to go down. You know, And
He didn't pull any punches when he
yeah,
responded.
yeah, like you know, so he was probably, you know, used to being attacked and Chris. So anyway, glad you could join us. Life, prosperity, and health to you all. Hope to see you tomorrow. Take care. Live up. Stay cool there in Texas.
All right. See y'all tomorrow.
All right, and in Vegas and in Florida. All right, take care. Live up.